Good afternoon, guys. Just me. Not going to be JY or Tyler. John Young's ghost. Lupe, good afternoon. Ryan, Justin. Yeah, just me. I figured I should go on here and answer any questions you have, walk through the 2025 CrossFit Games season, because it is a little bit different. Mr. Poolboy, what's happening? So yeah, we'll walk through all of the different stages, how it's changing. If you guys have any questions, we will do that too. First, that's right, Justin, holding down the fort. All right, so we're just going to jump right into it, not waste any time. Yesterday afternoon, actually it was in the morning if you were out there in the West Coast, the CrossFit affiliate town hall was last yesterday. And Wad Zombie, man, I brought you out of retirement. Or actually, I guess maybe John did. Welcome back, Nick. And so it was a very, very short affiliate town hall meeting. And it pretty much was Dave Castor jumping on there after Jada Coons handed off to him, a quick intro. And Dave walked through the basic structure of this. Didn't give out a ton of detail on it. And then at the top of the hour after that, all of the details were released. Is the audio bad? Hopefully not. Shouldn't be. I don't know. And so we're going to walk through it. And if you have any questions, I will turn on the phone lines right there. All right. The 2025 CrossFit Games Open. It is still a 3-week open, just like it was last year. Basically the exact same 3 weeks as it was last year. Thursday, February 27th is the 25.1 announcement. And then you have until Monday to announce, to put your scores in. The following Thursday, 25.2, and then the following after that. Oh, look at this guy.
What up?
Oh, man, he decided to join. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, I'm watching a little football today. IU's getting friggin' slaughtered.
Does that mean you're not going to win your bets?
I can win. I think I'm on good track to win the other ones, but the IU games, they look terrible.
Good deal. Well, thanks for jumping on. I'm just getting started. And do you understand the season yet?
About as good as anybody.
There you go. So yeah, February 27th, 25.1, 3 weeks, just like last year. Ben Avery, do you see the open workouts as still super accessible, low skill, low barrier to entry, given no quarterfinals tests?
I got a question about this. So the community, what did they call it? The community
cup. Yeah. We ain't there yet, but
all right.
Go ahead.
Well, I just wondered if that applied to, I'm going to try to put headphones in, that applied to sort of this whole situation where it's like they're going to make that whole thing different programming so that you're competing with the community, not the pros. Or did I misunderstand that?
A little bit, but I think they have they're bringing back, we won't jump too far ahead, but they're bringing back the levels, if you remember from a couple of years ago. So
the levels.
Yeah, we'll bring that up here in a second. Back to Ben's question. I think it's still going to be very, very similar to what it was last year. I don't see them changing it and making it tougher. I don't think they have to. And why I say that is, so I guess maybe back up. Last year, there was basically a 4-stage season for everything except for adaptives. Adaptives just went open. I think they called it semifinals and then the games. That's essentially what every division is going to do this year, is that they have 3 stages, not 4. So they're getting rid of the online quarterfinals and they're replacing it with an online in affiliate semifinal. So there technically are three stages only, unless you're trying to go in the elite individual thing. And so if you think about looking at the individuals only, the top 1% advance to the in affiliate semifinal. So used to be 25% last year. Before that, it was 10% advanced to the quarterfinals. Now it's the top 1%. If you look at last year's registration, that's about 1,700 males and about 12 or 1,300 women would advance to the in affiliate semifinal. That's based on 345,000 people that registered last year. I'm a little nervous about how many actually sign up this year.
Do you want to set an over under on registration drop? I mean, how much do you think the affiliate?
Your audio went down. You chose to mute yourself. There you go. There you're working.
Better?
Yeah.
We'll see if it holds. If not, I'll be ready to click it. I'm trying these headphones. This is I headphones going through a Dell computer, so I don't know how well that works. Anyway, no, Sousa, I'm not in a suit. This is Born Primitives, one of their jackets. My brother-in-law likes to keep it cold in here. But anyway, yeah, like I kind of want to set an over-under on how many people from the affiliates drop. But I mean, do you think the affiliates are really at all nervous or concerned with this? I talked to my affiliate owner and he was like, 3 weeks. And I said, yep, still 3 weeks. He said, I don't care.
I don't care like what, that it's the
Like
same or
it works. It's the same for
okay.
me. Like I'm gonna go through the same stuff. Nothing really changes for me.
I think at the open stage, it's gonna be the exact same as it was last year. Colton Mertens. Gang. Happy Saturday. I don't think it changes that much. From a affiliate owner standpoint through the open. Now, if you go to my stories right now and look, I put out a poll. I asked the question, will you sign up for the CrossFit Open? And the answers were yes, the same as last year. Yes, but I didn't. Yes, but I did not last year. So basically, you're going to add on to what was happening last year. And then no, I did last year, or no, I still didn't compete. There's 32% say yes, I'm still going to continue to compete like I did last year. So that's your retention, right? 32%. 34% say no, but I did last year. So it's about the same percentage. They're out. And a third didn't compete last year. They're not competing this year. And only 4% are going to jump in this year while they did not last year. So,
Well, I will say this: the people who follow you, that was the one thing I've thought about your poll that's like bias is that you poll from people who are already sport fans.
true. That is very true. But yes and no. I mean, I think it'll be interesting to see because I think you are correct that the people do follow me because of the sport, and there are plenty of people who just do the open because they show up at their affiliate and there's an open going on and they just sign up. They don't care that Tia Claire Toomey is dominant.
Right. I think, and I just wanted to point out that weakness. I don't think there's any good way of polling people who don't know about CrossFit and thus aren't going to know what barbell spin is. But even from the affiliate level, like you're not going to know really. So there's no good way to poll new coming athletes, so to speak.
No, I think you're right in that. I think it'd be interesting to know what the breakdown is of the 345,000 that signed up last year. How many are in the sport and how many are just, they show up, they do it, they have no idea what's going on. They could care less about any of the competition outside of themselves.
Right.
But I think it is very telling that 50% of those who did the Open last year, of those who follow me, I mean, I think it's over.
That's pretty
It's over like
drastic.
3,000 people who have answered those two questions alone. Right. So, I mean, you're starting to get into a pretty decent sample
That's
size
a pretty decent poll.
of, look, half the people that did it last year aren't doing it this year. At least they've said it right now that they're not doing it this year.
When you look at the people who said they did it last year and are not going to do it this year, are you seeing, like, as you scroll down through there, I'm sure there's hundreds, but like, are you seeing, of the people that you know, are you seeing a bias, or are you seeing it's on both sides of the equation on CrossFit? Like, I'm out because of Lazar, or I'm out because CrossFit's shit in the bed, like stuff like that.
I think the elite athletes are being smart and don't want me to see what they're
Fair.
doing at this point. Very, very few have said they're not going to compete of games level athletes or even semifinal athletes. These are more quarterfinal open athletes, I think, that are generally answering this question. Or at least I've not seen, many elite athletes answer either way. And so, I imagine it's just trying not to tip their hand and do that. But yeah, I could see a very massive drop off at this point. And I'll say one thing that's not in what has been shared by CrossFit publicly, but what Dave said during his affiliate town hall was open registrations drive this year's prize purse.
That was my biggest takeaway from the whole thing. You want to dive into that? Because I think that it is good, but also problematic.
I think I was talking to somebody else today about that. And I think had that been implemented last year, it would have been very well received. And people would have been pushing like, this is great. Let's go do it. Let's drive this. This might not be the year to go do that when there's going to be people that are going to step away, regardless of what the season structure was. Take all that away. If it was the exact same as it was last year, you're still going to see people that were not going to do it just because of all of the Lazar situation.
The positive take on, or go ahead. I don't want to interrupt.
I don't think that anybody in this case who is on the fence about this goes, you know what? I'm going to support these guys. I'm going to go do it. I want to see the prize purse get bigger.
No. Yeah, that's a good point. So I'll go with the negative take, since you sort of segued into that for me a little bit. It wasn't yours. It's my negative take. The negative take is it essentially shackles the community into making sure that the sport survives. If the athletes don't get paid, it's our fault. It also signals to me that the brands that they've worked with in the past aren't there, and they're bootstrapping this year's games.
Yes. Generally speaking, what's happened in the past, and even when Noble went away in 23, is January 1st hits, Noble goes away, and then shortly after that, GoRuck comes on. Mm-hmm. I'm waiting for the day that you go look at the game's website and GoRuck's not on there on January 1st.
Right.
And I know that they're not the title sponsor, but they had to be putting out some pretty big cash to cover some of that. And if that's going away, they are going to, they're going to specifically utilize that open money and make that variable to do that. And Dave said, we're still, what did he say? He started to say, we're playing with, and then he stopped himself and like, we're still looking into it or something of that nature. Like they're still trying to figure out how are they going to do that? Because they have to imagine they've thought like, what if we only get 150,000 people to sign up versus 300,000? What if we get 200,000, 250? Like, do we cut the prize purse in half? And then what does that do from a snowball effect going forward?
And that the positive lean on this is that It doesn't like I think half the people that signed up last year, and the athletes still get the same payout that they got. And that is correct if you're assuming that sponsorships pay for the rest of the games, which I think we know at this point that they don't.
Mhm.
They supplement quite a bit of it, but I still think it's a great deal from Open Take and semifinals
Yeah.
signups, but mostly from the Open.
Right.
Um, Go ahead.
Nope. That's good. So I guess we, again,
Well,
open.
that was what I was going to say. My so my on my story yesterday, I I have gallows humor. I've talked about it before, but I posted that thing of the Halloween spirit. I thought it was called Halloween Express, but it's
Yeah.
Halloween Spirit. And welcome to the 2025 games. But that was, that whole idea for me was sparked from, oh, like they've been cutting costs, they're continuing to do that, and now they're basically putting the prize purse on the community. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw a venue that was half of the size of last year. And so I went totally extreme and was like, how do you cut costs totally?
You just go rent out a vacant strip mall area.
Yeah, the joke I said to my friend was, I was like, we're going to be in a shelled out old Big K.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Open, not a big difference. 3 weeks. I don't think it changes anything. Top 1% of individuals go on to the in affiliate semifinal. The top 2% of age group athletes, teens and masters, will advance to the in affiliate semifinals. A minimum of 200 athletes per division will qualify. So if even if you're in the 65 plus division and there aren't however many that needs to be to get to 200, you'll still be 200 in that.
So the
And
system works for the same for the age groups.
right.
It's the exact same. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Now, the one thing that is different though with teams is every team that registers for the open gets to do the semifinals. At least it says all eligible to move on from open to semifinals. I'm sorry.
Oh, you
Let
know
me
what that
see.
makes me think?
I think they are going to cut to some degree, but let me see.
It's a real low cut.
It will not be.
If you got zero in the open, you're
No, they don't say how many advance from the team side. I have to imagine they're going to cut at some point. The comment that they have on there though is when it gets to the games, only one team from every affiliate from an affiliate can qualify. So Invictus can't send 3 teams, Mayhem can't send 2 teams.
I I cannot wait for that podcast to come out with Rich sitting on whatever couch he sits on.
Yeah.
And just I want to know he's had to have called Dave, he's had to have called everybody at the moment and been like, what the literal fuck am I supposed to do?
Well, yeah, and I think you'll still see potentially if Invictus has 3 teams that want to compete, you'll still see 3 Invictus teams on there because they have Invictus Boston, they have Invictus Seattle. If they're really serious about doing that, and in San Diego's Invictus has 3 teams that are super teams, they just say, hey, you guys are Invictus Seattle, go up to Seattle for 3 weeks, do the open, come back home, go to do the in-person affiliate semifinal a couple weeks later, and now you're Invictus Seattle. The other team's Invictus Boston, and you get around it. Like it doesn't change. Like
I mean, what
they
does Rich do? Does he send them to fucking the affiliate down the street and was like, you guys just play out of their gym?
It could. You just say it's Invictus Cook or CrossFit Cookville Mayhem. I don't know, right? Like,
Right.
uh, yeah, Invictus just opened up in Miami. I don't, Kevin. I don't think that they're going to just pay another affiliate fee to do that. I think they'll utilize whatever they can. I mean, go send somebody across to Nashville and just say, hey, we want these 4 people to represent your gym. They'd be like, sweet, CrossFit Music City, sign me up. Like
Right.
it'd be great publicity. So they have not given all of the details on how many exactly on teams advance, unless it truly is literally just do the open and then just do the semifinal. Now, when you do move on to the in-affiliate semifinal, this is where I think it gets tough for the affiliate owners. There's almost 4 straight weeks. The age groups start early, April 3rd through 6th. Take a couple weeks off. And then you have teams April 24th to 27th. The following weekend, individuals May 1st to May 4th. And then the adaptives May 8th through 11th. And I guess the adapters don't have to be an affiliate, but you'll have 3 weekends that are guaranteed to be in your affiliate. So 3 weekends on top of the 3-week open seems rather burdensome. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Well, I'm thinking about my CrossFit, the team. My wife was on a team last year, and it was CrossFit Westfield, and they had both individual athletes, Tanner Balaz, and team athletes, and it didn't present that much of an issue. The athletes essentially handled themselves. Now, if you're Mayhem, this may present somewhat of an issue, but they have the space. I think if you're a camp or a gym that specializes in that, you sort of have plans going forward for that.
I guess Avera probably has a good point. You're assuming most gyms will have athletes competing in semifinals. Most will have none.
Yeah.
That is valid, I guess. Like, I guess there's probably maybe more of a burden when you did have quarterfinals and you had 25% doing it, but you could also do it like a class or just have it set up.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking from if you are somebody that doesn't train in an affiliate and now you have to go find one and you got to go get them to give you access to your gym for the next 4 days over a weekend and kind of go around classes and things like that. That could be kind of a headache. But yeah, top 1% of individuals, top 2% of age groups advance to that stage. And then from there, if you're an individual, the top 15 to 20 advance directly to the games.
Wait, I thought it was 5. So
no,
literally over
yeah.
2/3 almost.
Hold on, Clive. Does that have to be your affiliate or just an affiliate? I think it just has to be an affiliate. Now, if it's a team, it may have to be that affiliate, but individually, I think you can go anywhere. Yeah. So in affiliate semifinal for individuals, it's 15 to 20 individuals qualify straight to the games. Top 20 teams in the world go to the CrossFit Games. Age group and adaptive, it sounds like it's going to be the exact same number as it was last year. 40 for the the most popular groups, and then it gets down to 20 if you're in the 65 plus. Individuals, though, 15 to 20. I've seen in the total field for the games for individuals is 30. I've also seen enough. CrossFit also has said a minimum of 30. So they've said it in 2 different ways. The way I have interpreted it is they're going to have these in-person qualifying events. I don't know why they don't call them sanctionals again. Essentially, they're looking to partner with competitions once again, and run a sanctional level competition, not associated with CrossFit. In those, generally speaking, 2 athletes can qualify, 2 men or 2 women could qualify out of each. Some cases they may only allow 1. So I'm thinking like Africa, if the Rebel Renegade Games continued on like they did the semifinals, they'd give them 1. Same with like Asia. But like if Syndicate Crown comes back, if West Coast Classic comes back, if somebody else pops up in the United States or in Europe, my guess is it's 2. And what I think that means is that CrossFit is hoping for at least 5. That would give you 10 additional spots. And then you could just pull 20 from the semifinal. if you get 7 and you have, 2 of them that have 1 each, then you could say only 18 make it in, 12 come from these sanctional level competitions.
Barkley brought up a good conversation again the other day. So now this takes into account like how do you hand out the spots to each sanctional, and then like strength of field starts to matter again, where it's like how important was this competition for this athlete? I mean, I know I'm getting off the season and more into the sports analyst side, but it's like, man, we sort of put the tarp over that for 2 years, and now we got to drag it back out.
Well, that and these, you'll see there on the graphic, these sanctionals, I'm just going to call them sanctionals. They run from April through June. The semifinal is right in the middle of that, the first weekend of May.
Right.
So there could technically be a sanctional in April before you even done the semifinal.
So how does this line up with your dates that you had for the French Throwdown?
So the French Throwdown, its qualifier is actually middle of February. It's 10 days in the middle of February. I think it's the 15th through the 24th, something like that. So it's literally the 10 days before the start of the Open. And what I've gathered so far, and I have not been able to talk to all of the semifinals or many or anything, is what I've gathered is nobody has a contract yet. I could be wrong, but I've not heard of a sanctional that has a contract to host one of these competitions yet.
This could be interesting because think about this. Now you have, I just want to refer to him as little old Willie now.
Little old Willie, okay.
Little old Willie trucking along, the engine that thought he could. He's got his thing that he's running, and then you have CrossFit, and then you have these sanctional people. I mean, you could get into a situation where all the sanctional folks are like, well, we're going to go with Will.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you wonder, like, is the French Throwdown one of the World Fitness Project, Willie's Fitness Project tour events, right? Because there's two tour events
in one final.
In one final, it would make sense that you'd have one internationally and one in the States. That potentially could be the case. I don't know. The French Throwdown guys, I don't think they like me. I've probably talked about all their athletes getting busted by the French water.
Wait, isn't your last name French?
No.
Oh, damn.
It is not French. Sorry.
Well, that's probably why they hate you.
Spin is not French. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if Syndicate Crown's going to do anything. I don't know if Loud and Live will host the West Coast Classic or any other type of competition renamed Torian Pro. I have no idea, but my understanding is there's no contract signed at this point. So there's a lot of work to be done right now between now and April
by a small team
to get all of that done. It leads me to believe that if a sanctional does take this on, they're on their own, like 2019. Like, hey, this is a completely independent venture. You figure it all out, but you're not getting a little handout from CrossFit to handle the stream or any other subsidy. Like, you take on all the risk. That's how I interpret it.
Yeah.
And if the French Throwdown is a sanctional, like all those sanctionals back in the day, you had your own qualifier. So if you're an elite athlete that does want to compete in Europe, and the French Throwdown is maybe the only one in Europe, would you rather take your chance going through the Open in this inaffiliate semifinal where there's 15 worldwide spots?
Which are pretty much if certain people sign up, that it's their spot.
Or you try your hand in the French Throwdown and you got to do a 10-day qualifier maybe you don't want to do the open qualifier, and then you're up for 2 spots, right? And 2 out of 40 is not an easy way to get through. I mean, the top 2 is tough. It's not like it's top 11 like it used to be in Europe. So some athletes are going to have a lot of decisions to do. Whether they're going to be doing qualifier after qualifier, do the sanctionals use the open in some fashion?
Colton, do you want to go to France?
Well, I mean, that leads me to the question, like, if Africa pops up a sanctional, does anybody from any of the big 3 regions or even Australia say, I'm going to throw my hat in that and go there? Like Mayhem did in 2019, where they went all the way out to the Asia Championship or whatever it was called and won there because they lost at Rogue.
Yeah, what's the rules on that now? Can you compete in a different region?
It sounds like you can go anywhere. Castro
Yeah.
said they had the ability to go to as many or as few as sanctionals as they want to. So it's going over there. Iron Hog's going to take over Europe.
Send him.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what their goal is, it's going to be 30. I mean, maybe if they had a whole bunch of different sanctionals pop up, that basically they could take 15 from the semifinal and they have more than 7 or 8 sanctionals pop up, they'd take more than 30, but they're not going to, that would be like best case scenario if you had that many sanctionals pop up in a period of 6 months.
Question on this. This is a bit overlooked, but like we at semifinals we cut from 60 to 40 to 30, and now we're cutting the games, which is somewhere I thought like that number 40 at the games was kind of sacred to me because the freaks live in the bottom. The people who are going to shine in 1, 2 events maybe, and then not do so hot on the other ones. But it's like they're stars. We want to see those people. And now those people are gone. Why do you think that they cut from 30 or 40 to 30? Assuming that they have. I know we don't know that, but
I don't know. I think it's because they're not convinced they're going to get enough sanctionals to flow through. Or they looked at Rogue and said, hey, 20 is kind of the competition's pretty solid at that point. Like, you don't have any heats where, it's not Tyler's trash at that point.
right.
And so do they split the difference and say, hey, let's just go with 30. It'll make the days be shorter. You don't have to worry about 4 heats, in some of these long events. Just move things along faster. And you have teams down to 20 now. So it gets even faster. So
Next year we'll just cut it to 15, and then the year after we'll just go back to drunk Pedro. We'll just get rid of it all, and we don't have to worry about
don't
any
have
of
to do
it.
anything. Yeah.
Go ahead and pull up the comments and all.
Yeah.
So the one thing I wanted to say was during that meeting, did you think, I've seen recordings of it since, the vibe that I got it was that Dave did not seem stoked. He seemed a bit.
I'm trying to think. I was trying to gather all the information and hear that.
It's very much like me to notice the body language. I
don't
tend
know.
to pay a
I'm not
bit
sure.
more attention to that stuff. I could be totally wrong. Dave has been particularly hard for me to nail down as far as like his body language and his emotional approach. But to me, it did not seem like he was very happy to present what he was presenting.
I think it's tough because even before all this happened, he said he wanted to make the open more important and that there would be changes to the online side of things, which we'll get to in a second with respect to judging. I just don't know if this is what he was thinking about when he made those comments during those athlete interviews. I think it's when he kind of brought it up, or maybe it was one of those where it's like, we're going to make some changes. I want to make the open important again, make it matter. And I don't know if this is what his thought was for it.
He's a
It's
he's a traditionalist, and so I see this as being a very, very hard pill to swallow for him. This
and
is
again, yeah, the change could be, hey Dave, you need to operate in this type of framework. What would you do? Right? Versus he came up with this idea on his own, right? Like he could have been pushed in the direction of this of we need
Pushed in
more
the
online.
direction of this of we need more online.
Uh-oh, you're no, you're
Uh-oh, you're, no,
good. uh
my headphones died.
yeah, you're echoing now.
you're echoing now.
Sorry.
Um yeah, I don't know what was pushed on him. Like if this was his idea, if he was told work in a
If
framework
he
and
was
he's
told,
making the best of it, not sure. So I was thinking that, like, does he really like this plan or not? JC, are they just going to call the old quarterfinal an affiliate semifinal now? I imagine it's going to be about exactly the same as what quarterfinals was. It's just they're calling it the semifinal because that's the last stage before the games. Chris Dwyer, do you think sticking to a 3-week open is sufficient now that there is no quarterfinals? Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, like the fittest athletes will be found in the new quarterfinals, and so the new affiliate semifinals. The top athletes are always going to shake out to the top, and so it's fine. The open is about the community, so whatever.
We've got a caller. Welcome to the spin.
Mr. Spin, Tyler Watkins, it's Pool Boy.
Oh, hey, pool boy, what's going on? I was hoping we were going to get Bill.
Guys?
I was hoping Bill Clinton was going to call in, but we'll take you as a good number 2.
Yeah, I'll hit up Bill next time to call in.
Yeah, give him a call. What's going on, man?
Hey, so I wanted to kind of piggyback on the question I gave you last night because I think it's kind of very interesting and important to go over. Is this going to arguably be one of the hardest games to qualify for because of the fact that I didn't read anything that detailed continents still being involved. So like it's just taking 1% straight from the open to semis. And from there, if the 30 spots happen to just go all to European athletes, is that going to be the case?
Yes. So first of all, I would say 1,700 men in the open. You're not going to find anybody that's games level that falls outside of the top 1,700. Just not going to happen. Like you have no worry about that. Now, top 15 or possibly top 20 going from the semifinals to the games. I actually think it's not as difficult as it was back during the sanctional season. If you remember the sanctional season, only one person from the United States made it. Right? It was one per country. There's your country champion that made it straight from the open. And then everybody here in the United States, where we would send nearly half the field, 20 athletes basically, had to go start running around to sanctionals to try to be that one person who won the sanctional. And I guess it was a top 20 though, right? At the open plus the national championship. So I guess it sounds a lot
Correct.
like that, I guess, to be somewhat fair. But there's only 30. So I guess you could say it would be the hardest.
I think
But-
it'll
So
be
and does this format pretty much just like athletes such as like Danny Spiegel, like are we like just never going to see her at the games ever again now?
it's going to be tough. Your ability to have holes is going to get much smaller. Because think about it, like if the top 10 or 15 come, or what is it, 15 to 20 come from the in affiliate semifinal, and then the other 10 spots come from, she's not a top 2 athlete in any event that she goes to. And she's definitely not a top 10 if everybody else, all the elite elites do in affiliates. So, or top 20. I just can't. It's going to be tough. Like, and I think like mentally, just in her case, she's checked out to where she's not really going to want to, like, she's towards the end of her career, I think. So I think Danny's out.
Yeah, and again, all of this assumes that all of the athletes are going to continue to participate, right? All of this
Yeah,
speculation about
regardless,
how hard it
just
is.
assuming that. Yeah, just assuming all the top athletes still are in. I find it interesting that because I was always an advocate of like, hey, we got to have the fittest regardless, like representation at the games. Like I felt like having the fittest athletes at the games triumphed over representation. Like I was never really a fan of having the spots that Asia got or Africa. I just wanted to see the fittest regardless. And I think this format helps achieve that. But I am nervous about still it being all online and just freaking video reviews.
Yeah, when you look at, well, first of all, dense updates, Miss Jenny. Danny preferred sanctionals. She said in her interview she wants this scenario.
She wants the sanctional scenario of what it used to be, not this
right.
one.
Like if there were 19 sanctionals and she could pick and choose and she could pick one that she felt was her strength, like the best place to go, then yeah. The problem is if there's only going to be 2 in the US, and if you I have on the screen right now the top 15 who qualified or who finished in the quarterfinals. From North America, you have Adler, Roman, Hatfield, Hopper, Medeiros. If you go to the top 20, you have Quant and Dallin. So, I mean, you have Luckett, you have Rosema, you have Travis Mayer, Cole Grieshaber, Tudor Magda, James Sprague, Saxon Panchik. Like you have a whole bunch of guys now who have not qualified through quarterfinals or the semifinal stage now, who are going to go to 2 sanctionals here in the States for 4 spots. Like that's going to be really, really tough. And we don't know how hard some of these guys were trying to get into from quarterfinals to semifinals. You imagine they're probably going all pretty hard. And you saw Hopper and Taylor and Colton and Dallin just go all out during Taylor versus the World. And like they're top, Jason was top best in 11th. So it'll be tough to get into that top 15, especially if everybody is really redoing workouts, because if you saw that if you're, after the first couple workouts are posted and you are 30th, you're probably okay, right? In the world, you're going to make it to semifinals. Do the workouts, do them well, move on. You can't do that now. You got to go redo a workout that you may have gotten 50th in because you got to make it in there. So I would say it's probably the hardest to do that. Hardest year to qualify for the games.
Yeah, and then plus even that year it was like, as a viewer, it was so hard to keep track of who qualified and how they qualified through what avenue, because we had like the national champions, and if a national champion also finished in the top 20 in the Open, all of a sudden the 21st athlete will get a spot, and then if the national champion who also finished in the top 20 happened to go to a sanctional and won the sanctional, that it was just like you had all these confusing avenues in terms of like how people qualified, and you don't really have that anymore. So I guess, I don't know. I just don't see Danny finishing or winning a sanctional unless she traveled to like Africa and competed at an African sanctional or some shit.
I mean,
And even then, it's still not a lock.
Yeah, I mean, winning or going second in a sanctional, especially if it is the case. Like, if I am in the United States and I really want to get to the games, and I look and I can see who's registered for, let's say, Syndicate Crown, and I'm looking at it and I'm being realistic, going, I'm getting is 5th. Do I look to go to Africa or Asia and take my shot there, or even Australia? Right. If you assume that Ricky's already qualified on the men's side, like
That happens quickly too, is like, oh, after you know that there are 5 of the top athletes at that semifinal, you're going to be checked out and you're going to look for the next semifinal you could go to do that. And eventually what you'll do is you'll just swing back around and be like, okay, I'll just go to the one that's close and fulfill my obligations to sponsors, and try to make a name for myself while I'm there and compete. I don't think that these semifinals are going to be maybe, but I don't think, definitely not in the first year, that they'll be able to get a prize pool together to be able to pay all the way out through 20th or whatever, right? So they're not going to be competing for very much money. So it starts making you question like why they're there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
besides love of the sport.
Yes. There's no reason to go unless you think you can qualify, I think is kind of where it gets to.
Right.
All right, man. Thanks, pool boy.
Of course. Love you guys.
All right.
Talk
See
to you
you.
soon.
Let's see. We got a bunch of questions here. First one, dense updates. I didn't see that there would only be 2 sanctionals in the US. Where was that? It has
I
not been
saw-
announced. We don't know, as far as I know, there are 0 sanctionals that are 100% confirmed, lined up, ready to go.
That's
I
the
think
back
all
of the
that stuff is
napkin,
still in negotiation, evaluation stage. What I will say though is when you look at who still holds events that could be at the quality of a sanctional level or a semifinal level that we're used to seeing, it's Loud and Live, who runs Wadapalooza, who hosted the West Coast Classic, and you got Wilson Pack of Syndicate Crown. Right? Like the Atlas Games, I don't think those guys are around or could spin something up in 6 weeks or 6 months. The Fittest Experience already has their stuff going on. That's set for January. They couldn't push something back. I don't think they'd want to try to do another event in 3 months if it's all on them to try to figure this out. So I just don't think there's enough big time organizers. Now, maybe they don't care about having a big time competition and say, hey, JR wants to host something and it's a small time thing and he gets 20 people to show up at Crash. Like maybe that's what they're okay with, right? Like it's a small competition, only need 10 to 20 athletes qualified. JR gets to give out 1 spot, 1 male, 1 female. Like, do they go small micro type competitions? I don't know.
I think about Wilson's an interesting subject in this because like the MAC traditionally, I know it's not it's not the syndicate, but he runs the MAC too, and it's a community event,
Mhm.
right? And so I started thinking like, oh, is there a way to sort of bootstrap this and communify? I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to create it now. Communify the competition. And so what Wilson could do if he had enough time, which he probably doesn't have now, is you could create a structure where the MAC/syndicate is the premier competition in the East. And it's essentially you start reaching into the community and you say, hey, if you want to go to it is not the pro level, but like you want to be your state champion or you want to be the East champion, you can qualify and go through this system of qualifiers for us and the open being the starting point of that. You can do that with teams as well. And I think that could be a really cool opportunity for him to, number one, pay for it. Number two, probably enlarging the prize pool for the athletes and then get the community involved again. Now, that's like, you're talking probably a year's worth of work just in building the narrative and getting the marketing out for that. He doesn't have the time to pull that off now, but we do have an opportunity. I'm trying my best to see the bright lights, the silver lining in all of this.
Yeah.
But you could spin it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're going with the big size competition. I just wonder, could they be smaller? Like you had talked about maybe a few months ago when we talked about maybe the upcoming season, going back to the smaller regional style competitions where there's 10 in the States or however many there were, whatever, 8.
Yeah.
And say, hey, this is like a tiny little one. And, only 20 athletes qualify for it and 1 spot gets it. But there's a whole bunch of them versus
Right.
a very large Syndicate Crown or a very large West Coast Classic or whatever you have. Like that's probably a more feasible standpoint. Now they do that. Like JR obviously could do a live stream, but a lot of these you're not going to get anything, right? Like they're going to go to it and the media coverage is going to be very difficult to get anything. And it's going to be like, hey, so-and-so won in, you know, the middle of Iowa, right? Like Colton wins, he's good, but we have no highlights for you. He just
Right.
won without anything like that. So, yeah, that could be tough. For those of you who don't know, Tyler, great pick on Florida over Ole Miss. Betting with the boys. Watch it Friday night, right? Next Friday.
Yep. Next Friday.
Non-CrossFit. Dennis O'Leary, do they only do 30 to the games, still do cuts? I think so. I think they still do it down to 20.
I would hope they don't. If they take 30 to the games, I hope they don't do cuts anymore.
I could still see them doing it.
They'll do it. They know I hate it, and they'll do it despite me.
How do we feel about the timing of the semifinals? It's earlier than before. Do we think the athletes will appreciate that or hate it?
I'm noticing a ton of appreciation from the athletes at the moment.
Yes, they're all speaking up very positively.
I mean, the athletes that I know were already aggravated because they didn't know what the season was. So
right. I went through, I grabbed some comments. Guy Melhero said, I miss the time when we used to get excited to see this kind of post. Emily DeRoy said, you joking? Ariel Lowen responded to Pool Boy and said, I actually hate this model. Because Pool Boy was like a big fan. Luke DeJong, the big fro dude, get FKD, get Justin Kotler. Was not very happy. First, the format changes every year. It's comical at this point. Second, increasing the importance of online stages of the season diminishes the validity of the sport. But let's be honest, methodology and sport will soon be separate. The writing is on the wall. Not sure why HQ continues to hold on at all to sport at this point.
that's a great point. If I can interject really quick.
Yep.
Do you think, and this is just me speaking out loud, I'm not trying to, or thinking out loud. I'm not trying to shit all over CrossFit, but do you think this is one last feeble grab to hold it all together?
I don't know if it's really if it is their attempt, I'm not sure it's the best attempt to do it. Right? Like
the writing's on the wall to a degree. I think they've lost control. And there's an inevitable thing that happens if they can't pull it together this year. And it just seems like, like you say, it's like, unless they have something big behind the curtain that they're not sharing with us, which that is not the vibe that I got from watching the affiliate town hall. I'd probably side with Justin on this.
I will say if we can get past the season structure, and if you look at the top 15, 20 from quarterfinals, like it's pretty much made up of all games level athletes. Like the women's side, Manon Agonies was 7th. She obviously didn't qualify. Yolo Folo finished 12th. Caitlin Van Zyl finished 15th. Carolyn Prevost was 19th. Everybody else was a games level athlete out of quarterfinals, top 20.
Caitlin Van Zyl going to the games.
Yeah. On the men's side, Yonakoski, Guillaume Briand, Fabio Benito, Benoit Boulanger, Nika Mazeradze probably shouldn't be at the games.
Send him.
So again, there's a handful, 3, 4 athletes on each side that would make it to the games that they're probably still potentially better than the representatives from Africa or Asia, but they're not the top. I would not say that they would be the top 20 at the games, right? But then you throw in the 15 or 20 from the sanctionals, they're going to be pretty solid. So I think when you actually look at that, the field is going to be better. right? If the top 20 teams from the world go versus from the different regions, I think it's better competition.
Right.
I just think that with everything going on with Lazar and all the athletes that are upset and athletes that are going to sit out, that's going to put a stain on this year's games. There's a chance that some top athletes don't qualify, to Pool Boy's point, because they're just not built for the online competition. They just don't do well. It's a yellow hostess situation. And they can't make the sanctionals work because maybe they just go and get beat out by one or two people. And some of our favorite athletes that we do want to see there just don't make it. And when you have World Fitness Project, whatever the PFAA probably comes out with, I guess, if it isn't Willie's Fitness Project is where they go, right? Like, how many competing different avenues can you do that make sense?
I was talking with somebody the other day about this. I'm nervous about the change. I'm nervous about all this. But this sort of thing, like, always leads to a better place. It just looks really dark when you're in the middle of it. I think growth will happen from this. This sort of shuffle happens in every pro sport, and we'll get through it. But the in between is fun, and it's why you come to the spin.
That's right. I mean, if you're interested in more than just who competes on the floor, this is a great time to follow it because there's always something happening. I just wonder what that looks like from a competitive standpoint in 25 if you have half of your top athletes in one league, half in another. Like, it's the current PGA Live Golf situation. It's the IndyCar situation that was back 25 years ago. It dilutes the both brands, and it's very tough to get through. And so, Judy Reed. Wait, so no dedicated spots for different countries, like one for Africa, two for Asia.
You're reading the wrong article. You need to zoom
Yeah.
up a couple of years.
No, they will not. From everything that it shows, it is a worldwide competition at this point. So technically you could get 20 from Africa to go crush the Open and the semifinals, and you'd have 20 people from Africa. Granite Games, that was owned by Loud and Live, which owns Tier Wadapalooza, West Coast Classic. It's all the same thing. Dylan Bierman, what's the most sanctionals you think someone tries to go to? 3. That's a lot.
Somebody will be crazy enough to do it.
That's what Danny Spiegel did. She was like everywhere in 2019, and she was raking up some money. Janine, do you think the PFA athletes will participate or unionize and boycott?
Unionized. They're already unionized.
I don't disagree. Steve Martin, how much of this was decided before 2024 games and completely independent of the safety changes and shift from what happened? I don't think anything had to do with the Lazar situation. I think the timing of it is different. It is delayed.
So you think this was in the books? You think this was? I can't not assume that this was the plan. The rollout has been so slow.
Yeah. What is going on?
Are you losing the situation?
No, I had something. What is going on?
You got a scoop. I found a document. I was scraping the web. I was on Dubai Fitness Challenge's website, and look what I found.
No. No. So, no, I think they were going to do this regardless. And but Lazar's situation and the investigation and all of that stuff delayed them announcing it and working with all of the different partners to become a sanctional. And the problem is now you've put all of those organizers in a bind, if they even want to work with you now, to try to set something up very, very quickly with no resources provided, is my understanding. JC is confused. In-person events in April and then an online qualifier in May. It's all going to be happening at the same time. So beginning in April, there could be a sanctional that's in person.
Could.
And then there's an online qualifier the first weekend of May for the individuals. And then there's more sanctionals probably after that. My guess is that most of them would be around the same time as semifinals last year. Just from a standpoint of most of those same organizers would be the ones that continue to be the ones that operate. YouTube user, what happens if no one steps up?
Somebody will step up. Because, I mean, think about it. If they don't go to Dylan and they don't go to Wilson and they don't go overseas, like Sevon in the group will be like, I'll run your damn semifinal. Somebody will pick up the slack. Now, will it be as hype as you want it to be? Probably not, but
See, I think let's just answer the question directly. If nobody steps up, I think they just say 30 from the open or from the online semifinals qualify.
that would be insane.
If you see that, the CrossFit Games League is dead.
Yeah, all of the season, all of the structure around it, it's done.
It loses. What's the right way of saying it? If no organizer steps up and does this, or one or two only, you lose the backing or confidence in the season, and you start looking elsewhere,
Yeah.
right? Because
Now what? Go ahead.
You don't. If they're not getting sponsors, if they're not getting support from organizers, and there's fewer paths to go through, you're just doing online, and Willie's Fitness Project is out there, and it's paying out cash, and it looks like a good time, and there's a good live stream, and you're getting featured. You look at it and go, regardless of what happens in 26, I'm jumping over there because I know that they're growing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a big step to do something that fast. And I think if there are competing projects to Willie's, then it gets more difficult to succeed. But I think that's where you start seeing people go.
I would imagine at this point there are calls between Wilson and Dylan and other folks who run sanctional type events. And I think effectively as a group, I don't think that they'll come to a decision as a group, but they'll toss around ideas because this is like an all hands on deck situation. Because at this point, I know Wilson, I don't know him as well as I know Dylan, but they are like me in that it's so hard for them to stop believing. Like they want this to work. They are like their soul's ingrained in this thing. It's been their whole profession, not Wilson, but Dylan for sure. It's been his entire professional career. And it's like he desperately wants this to work. The sport, the community, all of it. And so it would be hard to think that they wouldn't try to figure out how something works. But at the end of the day, like I know Wilson sort of does this on his own, but Dylan's bound to Loud and Live. And if he can't make a profit, he has to step away. And so at that point, you start having these debates internally where it's like, do we continue? Like it's like you're 5 times doubled down on CrossFit. Like you've rolled the dice that many times. You continue to do that again in its most desperate moment, or do you jump ship and ride it with little old Willie?
Exactly. Right. Like
and make that work because there is excitement there.
as best we know. Krithika.
Krithika?
Krithika. Do we know what sanctional athletes can participate? We don't know any details. We don't know how many sanctionals. We have no idea other than CrossFit believes they will sign contracts with organizers to run sanctionals. But we don't know what that looks like. We don't know if there's any, we don't think there's any help from CrossFit for those guys. We have no idea how you qualify for said sanctionals, whether it's through the open, whether it's, numbers 21 through 59 can go to sanctionals from the semifinals. No idea. If we have a fourth stage of online sanctionals, the sport dies. That's a terrible, terrible thing to do.
People want, and I wanted to say this a minute ago, they want to go to a thing. They want to feel that excitement. They want to have a good time. People want to be in person. This constant push, like Chase talked about this the other day, like this constant push towards online, it's not it. We have to stop this business. People want to go somewhere where cool people are and they can feel cool while they're there. Online, you're at your own damn living room. How cool is
Right.
that?
It's not exciting. Like nobody goes back and looks at Rogue's 2020 invitational that was online and watches that. It's dumb. Like, yes, they had a competition. It was online, and Rogue probably did it as best as you could, but nobody wants to watch that. Like, no. Carlos Ochoa, thanks guys for always being a fresh breath of air in these so interesting CrossFit space. Vicky74, do we really think HQ hasn't at least consulted to try and get buy-in from certain organizers before announcing something like this?
I would say they've consulted. They've talked. I think Barkley said something earlier that Dave was talking about this with event organizers last year behind the scenes. I would believe that 100%,
Yeah,
especially if Barkley knows.
but I think most of this had been set, like basically the season has been, by this time in previous years, the season has been kind of like set up and those competitions were ready to go. Like contracts have been signed, venues have been set up. I don't think we're at that point yet.
Well, to push back a little bit, though, you and I have always been pissed off that it's like, why have we not signed a 3-year contract with Knoxville to do these events in their places? It's always like, why was this contract not signed last year?
Right.
And so to push back, I'm not surprised that there's not contracts signed.
It just puts it. Does Willie's equal High Rocks? No, it's Willie's Fitness Project, aka World
Totally
Fitness Project.
different.
Yeah, different.
Whole different thing.
No, it's Willie Morad. Willie Morad is running the World Fitness Project, and from now on, apparently, it's called Little Willie's Project.
I know Willie's listening. He listens in on these. I know you're here, Willie.
No, I know. He's probably traveling somewhere, and he has it on his phone. He can't chat. Which online event did Briggs do multiple rounds of thrusters after everyone else was out?
That was an online. Freaking John would know immediately. Yeah, it was games.
Clive, the return of the sanctionals is a strategy to mitigate athletes creating a full season outside of the games.
I don't think mitigation is the consideration here.
Barkley says Rogue 20. Maybe that's in response to
2020.
The Briggs round of thrusters. I do back to YouTube users about if nobody signs up. I do think though, like Torian Pro, unless they've gotten hijacked by Willie, I think they want to hold an event. Again, it's a large community event. Everybody in Australia goes. It's a well attended. I think they probably make more money than any other competition around.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost guarantees somebody from Australia is going to go.
Yeah, so why it's like an add-on. It's like, yeah, why not send one?
Right. Like, of course, somebody from the States or Europe can go over there, but you're putting a lot of money into hoping you qualify.
Hmm.
Right. Like,
Yeah, you better be damn sure you flying over to Australia and bringing your whole crew.
it would suck to go spend whatever $10,000-$20,000 to go over there and you take third. Right. And then you've wasted all the travel, all the time that takes to go there, and then you don't make it. Whereas most of that is going to probably be full of Australians and New Zealanders. I don't know why John Woolley on Constantly Varied Conversations. Don't know. Do we have anything else?
Me and my 6 wiener dogs are rolling up.
There it is, Colton. I'm sure Gabe would send Colton all the way up there, Australia.
I bet
Take that
Gabe would
cash.
do well in Australia.
Who?
I think Colton would do well in Australia. Like as a
Oh,
cult
yeah.
of personality, like I think they'd eat Colton up.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Krithika, where's JY? I don't know. I was actually come do this myself. So
He's either napping or taking a
last minute,
bath.
I messaged Tyler and John. I was like, hey, I'm going. If you guys want to, feel free to join. Bonnie, Colton, we welcome you and all the teeny weenies. See, there you go. CK Kevin, I'll donate to the Colton Australia Fund.
Boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Was there anything else we did not answer about the CrossFit season?
I mean, basically every question because we don't know anything, but we address all the questions.
We did forget the Community Cup.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So the Community Cup is in June. Anybody that signs up for the Open can participate in the Community Cup. So if you remember, if you go back 2 years, by the time it's 2025, it'll be 3 years. They introduced the levels, right? 1 through 10. And basically it was like they just divided the quartile or the every 10%, you said that was your level. That's what's going to happen. So you do your Open, you then can in June, and it sounds like it's going to be over the course of a weekend, kind of like the in-person semifinals now or last year's quarterfinals. And you will compete against your 10th percentile in your level.
But if you're in that percentile in the Open, chances are you're going to be in that like you be in the same strata in your own percentile in the competition for that. You see what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So I'm going to compete. I was in the 90th percentile or whatever. So I'm a level 9 or
Yeah.
and so but I was towards the lower end of the 9, right? And I would imagine in the 9s level competition, I'm going to be somewhere in the bottom of the
Of your
nines.
level 9s, yes. So, yeah, if you are, let's say, the 89th percentile and you're level 8, you have a pretty good chance of competing in this Community Cup and having to be near the top of the leaderboard. You're not going to be on the flip side. Versus
So in the Open, hold back.
Yeah, watch it and get to the 81st percentile or 79th percentile if you're actually 89th percentile, and do that. So, Vicky, I totally misunderstood that. I thought it was just the level thing in the Open. So no, that you used to get your levels in the Open, and then it just kind of the idea I think was, and I think that competition should have used it was when they do local competitions and you look at elite, RX, intermediate, scaled, whatever, to use those as your where you fit in.
Right. You get these sandbaggers, like I just said, hold back in the Open so you can be a level 8 when you're really a level 9. Like in a local competition, you'll sign up for intermediate and you should be an RX.
Right. And maybe you'd see that a little bit, but I think overall people are going to be participating as hard as they can in the Open, especially if they want to get into the quarterfinals. And then it's that. So that'll be just another competition. It feels almost like it used to be or last year's quarterfinals where they opened it up to the extra 25%. Like, hey, let's just get some more participation, more funds coming in. And then I did fail to mention there's also a partners, teams, pairs. I can't remember what they call it. Competition. What do they call it? They call it the pairs competition in October. Brand new. It's hosted by the Masters Fitness Championship. It's an in-person competition. The caveat, though, is
It's in Fort Wayne, so sorry.
that's the first asterisk. Yes, you have to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana, Fort Fun. And what this looks like is you partner with anybody else from around the world, and the partners use their open scores to qualify. So I guess technically, like myself and Tyler could then partner up. I assume when we register for the Open, I hope not after the fact, and say, hey, we're going to be a pair, and we're going to have a separate pairs leaderboard to qualify for this in-person Masters Fitness Championship. And the top, however many don't know, get to go to Fort Wayne, Indiana to throw down. So
Does this feel like a smorgasbord of freaking ideas that they're just like, oh, we'll just throw out a bunch of ideas, see what sticks, and we'll just this is a lot. These are a lot of different things.
I am talking to somebody that's from Masters Fitness Championship. He might come on the show in a couple weeks to share more details. He said they're close to finalizing all of it. I don't know, but it feels like maybe the Masters Fitness Championship was like, hey, we want to get involved. We want to do something for the community. What if you guys just let people do pairs and then we'll host them? And it's another, I don't know. Maybe Jamie can answer that of how it kind of came to fruition. But yeah, essentially you're just going to do the Open like you would do the Open, but you have a virtual pairs leaderboard thing that gets to go to Fort Wayne. I mean, I've heard they run a good competition. It's just
I heard it's cool.
It's just Fort
I've heard
Wayne.
it was
I don't
good
know.
times.
What I've heard is that the people that run that have a plenty of money, and they rent out a massive facility there in Fort Wayne. It's a pretty cool convention center, and so they just have tons of space, tons of floor space. They do everything to a very well from an operational standpoint, and do that. Shadow Hiker, what is the projected 2025 prize pool based off of 24's open signups? We have zero idea.
Well,
other than Dave saying that it's based off of open registrations, the details are unclear, right? So what I mean by that is we don't know if 100% of the $20 goes to the prize purse. We don't know if $10 goes to the prize purse. We don't know if CrossFit's going to donate $1 million and only $5 goes to the prize purse. Like, is there some bare minimum? Is it like Rogue, like where they invest in Bitcoin? I have no idea. My guess is that if it was the same registration participation, could be total, yes. If I was gonna guess, I would say their thinking is if it was the same level of participation as last year, it's the same prize purse.
right. Yeah, you would hope, or at least like if 75% of the people did the Open, they still meet that minimum. Like you would hope that they reverse engineer to solve that equation. Here's the issue with that though, and I think people looked over this, is they've also said that they're going to use the money that they get from the Open to give prizes and stuff back to the affiliates for participation. And it's like, okay, well, there's a slice that's gone. I don't know how much that's going to cost and whether,
It
the
sounds
prizes are really donated, like different stuff like that. But
like you could get the Rogue Golden Barbell maybe for your gym,
Right.
something like that. I mean, it could be small things. It sounded like there may be some cash prizes for the affiliates. That's tough in my opinion, because you have like the gyms in Brazil where they like pool their athletes and they're like, hey, I know we have like 5 affiliates in like Brazil, but like it's all registered for the same affiliate. So it looks like we have 1,000 people, right? Like, and if
Right.
it's like by most participation, well, small little gym in Bloomington, Indiana has 0 chance of getting anything, right? Like if you're going to give prizes out for the largest participation, you're just giving it to the mega gyms.
You're just giving it to NorCal every time. It's like,
Well,
here,
like, is
congratulations
it
again.
CrossFit Bison has a gazillion people.
Yeah.
Brazil always has a ton, but you're not rewarding those who are your small affiliate owners that run a gym that has 125 athletes, right? Like they have 0 chance. Like it doesn't matter. So I don't know what they'll do. Percent of membership. Like I think they should do something of that nature where it's like percentage or drawings or, something that gives them an opportunity. I am not in Bloomington. Tyler is though. I'm down in Nashville. So, yeah, so you got the pairs competition in October in Fort Wayne. You have the Community Cup in June. Again, another online competition. Trying to think. The games, CrossFit Games will be in August. So Drunk Pedro is wrong. They're not in July. It'll be in August.
What an idiot. God.
The Masters and Teenage CrossFit Games will also be in August, but not at the same location as the CrossFit Games. Also hosted by Legends and Pit Teen Throwdown.
I'm hoping they are on separate dates or at least
Hopefully
not on the
same
weekend.
weekend like last time. And then the Adaptive CrossFit Games will also be hosted by Wheelwad and in September again. I still think that was a mistake. They should have done all of that stuff in July leading up to the games, but that's just me. Video and judging review. So for in-person judges at the in-affiliate semifinal stage, if you want to judge in that for those online semifinals, you must hold a current level 1. You must complete the judges course, and you must complete a new advanced judges course. Additionally, all videos of those in the semifinal stage will be public to some degree, at least to those who have signed up for the 2025 judges course. I don't think you need an L1 to be on the online review team. I think it's just the judges course. That's the way that it reads. Let me see if I can find.
Hey, didn't we know how much it cost to run the games? Wasn't it like $45 million last year or something like that?
I don't think we ever knew the full cost. I mean, Fort Worth sent them back money, but it wasn't like, I don't think there was ever that. So here you go. So the in-person semifinals. So the first bullet point, athletes must complete their workouts in an affiliate and be expected to record and submit the results with enhanced judging and video requirements. Judges will be required to hold a current L1, like I said, or higher, complete the judges course and a new advanced judge course.
Super judge.
Athletes will complete their workouts live. That's not it. That is not it. They do talk about it somewhere. Here it is. Additionally, individual and group age group athletes will be required to submit all workout videos for public review by anyone who has taken the judges course.
Oh, so instead of just letting the entire community view you, they're doing it with just those who have done the judges course. Good luck on anybody actually doing that.
I know one person who will sign up immediately.
Guaranteed, yeah.
By having a more robust judging experience in the affiliate and public transparency for all videos, we'll move the sport forward.
Feels like a day late and a dollar short, doesn't it?
It's like something that Hiller, myself, others have been saying for years is crowdsource that. Let the fans go look at stuff, flag it, and say, hey, this doesn't look right. Why don't you guys take a look at it?
Well, it's a good move.
Vicky's in Franklin. I was in Franklin. I'm in Fairview. I didn't know Vicky was in Franklin. Man, I was at the farmers market this morning. In Clock, I'm technically not in Nashville. I stay out of the town of Nashville. It's awful, awful place. Go ahead, Tyler.
Well, I was just saying it is a good move. Like all of this stuff is tainted right now. It's so hard to digest all of it, and so it's like, yep, like you probably did a good thing. At least the people who have taken the judges course and have done, and then the advanced training, which I don't know how much more the advanced the judges course needs to be. And if it's going to be the same as the judges course that exists now, but higher level, you know what people do is they just share answers. So you're going to have anyway. Um, it is a good thing that they're implementing, but it's so hard to take it. Like it's so hard to absorb it now because it's like you got all this other stuff in the way.
Yeah. Again, this would have been an easy fix the last 2-3 years of saying, let's just make it public for everybody that they can see.
Yeah.
Stein Lee Schreiber, maybe Mayhem, Proven, Training Think Tank, etc. will invite spectators to watch their in-affiliate semifinals to bring in extra cash. Here's the thing. The stakes for the in-affiliate semifinals are so high right now. Right? Like, if you are really going to think you're going to qualify, right? If you're Jason Hopper, if you are, say, Jeff Adler, whoever that can qualify through this, would you want to be on a schedule with people watching you? Or would you want to be able to be there and then, like, if a workout has double unders and you're like, you mess up or you do something wrong, you're like, cut it. I'm 2 minutes in. I'm going to cut
Just
it. I'm going to go do
restart.
this. I'm going to restart this.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that? Like, I get there's a hype to having people there cheering for you, but you may have to redo these workouts, and you don't. If you're messing up, you don't want to continue on and just put a crappy score in, and then have to redo it again.
To push back though, if Big Daddy Rich says, "Hey, we're going to give you guys 30 grand or something crazy to do this. We're going to film it and we're going to put it out on the internet." You went in.
Hatfield's there all day long.
Yeah, he's there all day long. All the athletes who know they're going to do well are going to do it. And then if they screw up, they'll do the workout again somewhere else. I was thinking about that in terms of Kill Taylor or, Taylor versus the world during quarterfinals. Is that dead now? Like,
is it too much?
It's too much risk.
Line, yeah.
Like Taylor actually could qualify out of that situation. Like he was close.
Right.
But he didn't, and he talked about that because of like, was it the rowing workout with Jason? He was like, I wanted to do a show. Like he was like, I went out too hot. I did it because of Jason.
The open.
That was the open, but in a similar vein.
Well, quarterfinals, they did everything in 2 days, right?
Right. And it's like we could film it and then premiere it in post, which sucks, but it is something. The reason I started this topic
you don't want people to see your scores.
Right.
Like, it wasn't a big deal for those guys that did that in Taylor versus the world. Like, sure, Medeiros watched those guys do it, and he got a sense of what he needed to do, right? They paced off of him.
Right.
You don't want to give that up when you're saying top 15, top 20 in the world. Like, you've got to be on your game, and if you give somebody an advantage, you're in trouble.
Yeah. The reason I brought this up is because of the article that I wrote about and the podcast that Mayhem put out about doing in Mayhem interior events where they give out $10,000 and they do a few of them. That signals to me that Rich was not aware of any of this because he would not have been playing with that idea had he known about any of this. It wouldn't even been on his brain.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to shroud everything in secrecy for those 4 days, and you won't see anything, unfortunately, until everything goes public. Vicky, technically in Spring Hill, and goes to CrossFit Trivium in Brentwood. I know exactly where that is. Stein had a good idea. I don't know what Stein said.
Good idea, Stein.
Yeah, great idea. Would they push as hard without the guys on either side of them? Look, they may have. It's not a bad idea to push with and do the workouts with somebody
Alone,
next
like,
to you,
right.
but it's not the best to go do the workouts and then have Justin Medeiros, who you're now competing with, and it matters to see your score and say, I just got to beat you by 1.
Well, shit, there was that whole video between Rich and Matt when they both still competed, and they were going back and forth about what was it, a thruster workout or something,
Mhm.
and like they were trying to find out each other's times to redo it, and it's that exact same thing happens now. And so if you're broadcasting that out to the broader internet, you're essentially signing a warrant saying I'm not gonna be able to make it to the CrossFit Games via this
I'm
outlet.
so good that you can't catch me.
Right. Which I don't know on the men's side if anybody's ballsy enough to put that out there.
No, maybe on a one or two workouts, but like not every one, right? Like maybe your wheelhouse, you're willing to do it,
Right.
but if it's a rowing workout or box step up like quarterfinals and you're Jason and Dallin, like sure, right? Like they could do that, but even then, I'm sure if you asked them now, would you do that same workout knowing that it mattered if you're going to qualify in the top 15 to 20? They'd be like, I don't really want to give anybody my score. I'd rather beat them and not let anybody get ahead of me at all.
It was
Zero
iffy in
chance.
the beginning, even though there was no real exposure because it was quarterfinals. They knew they were going to make it semifinals.
Yes. Glee, should we still be buying Olipop? If you want to. We sold over $2,000 of Olipop.
Thank you all.
That was only on Wednesday and then through Thursday morning. So I don't know if anybody's been purchasing. But again, that link is still out there on Wednesday's show if you want to buy Olipop. If you do buy Olipop, go ahead and do that. It ties back to me so they can at least see it. Please no more box step ups. Maybe not. I'm not sure. I think more information will be coming out here soon. Hopefully it'll start trickling out. Hopefully we'll start hearing about some sanctionals that actually do get signed up. But what you need to know now is 3 stages open, begins the last February 27th through middle of March. And then starting in April, sanctionals might start. And then there's a whole bunch of in-person or online in affiliate semifinals. That's tough to say. In basically April through mostly May for all of the divisions. 30 athletes go to the games, 20 teams go to the games, and then this sounds like the same number of age group and adaptive athletes will qualify. So those things basically have not changed. So yeah, I think that's about it. Tyler, you got anything else before we head out on a Saturday afternoon?
No, man, I got football games to watch.
Go win
I'm
some
1-1 right now.
Yeah. And then I think we'll be back this week. I don't know what you guys are playing. We'll have to figure out what our schedule is for Thanksgiving. And then Tyler and John and what's the third guy's name?
Jason.
He's the better one at predicting and doing sports bets. But if you don't want to follow CrossFit and you want to learn how to bet and gamble with the NFL, NBA, or college football, Friday night at some point, Betting with the Boys, new show on the Barbell Spin YouTube channel. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining us Saturday afternoon, and we'll see you.
I apologize to absolutely nobody.